I mean, it was, and obviously it's a really difficult decision. Really hard on him. He didn't want to feel like he was letting anybody down, but I think, as we've seen, as Fran mentioned, in the last few weeks, he's just mentally and physically exhausted by this, which is what happens with anxiety. You don't sleep, you don't eat, you don't have any stamina, and then the other part of it is just the physical. He has no adrenaline, so by the time he gets to game time, he feels like he's already run a marathon in the whole day, and his body just has nothing. And so I think from a emotional standpoint for all of us, it was really difficult, but from a mom's perspective, watching somebody that you love struggle, as I do with all of my children, I feel the same way about all of them, but to watch him, see him battle and try to keep fighting because he thinks that's what he should do, I felt like it was our job to give him permission to not have to do that and to feel okay that he wasn't letting anybody down, and we love him, and we don't care if he ever touches another basketball. I don't think that's the case, or that will happen, but it's not why we love Patrick.
I asked, Fran this. What were the conversations like about him being transparent with the public? Because there's a lot of kids that probably would just say, I'm taking a leave of absence for personal reasons, but he really went in depth about how he feels for somebody that, might not understand what it is to deal with that.
Yeah, as Fran said, I think that was really important to him. And my instinct too wasn't really my instinct to not say anything, but it was to let him be the decider of how that message gets out. And if it gets out, and it was very important to him from the beginning. And I don't know if that stems from, this is the second time he's been through something very public and very consequential. Although the first time I would say he did not, and still doesn't love to talk about it, what he went through. This time he felt like it was important, and I think Tyrell is a good example of, and his relationship with him. Tyrell reached out to him yesterday and told him he was proud of him, and I think he just felt like maybe if more people feel permission to be able to do this and talk about it, then it will get easier for the next person.
Was there a moment when you really noticed? Can you think of anything, or was it just you just kind of saw it over time?
I would say the Eastern Illinois game was pretty. I don't know if you guys. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I don't know if you noticed, but he almost threw up on the free throw line, and he went in and got sick, and I walked over, and at first I thought or hoped that he was just exhausted, and he was. But part of why he was exhausted was just because he was getting so run down. And then when he was home with us for Christmas, I thought he was good, and he seemed to sleep pretty well, and we always bug him about eating. So, but then again in the Nebraska game, he just, I know he's not the thickest guy, but he would take 2 dribbles and somebody would kind of put their hand out and he'd just stop and pass or whatever, which he just didn't seem to have the oomph that he'd had. And I this season and is hard on all of us, on our family, on players, on their families, and the level of pressure that everybody feels. And I think that it's as Fran said, it's always been hard. Patrick's always struggled, but this year in particular has gotten to where the game day and the day before the game are just not really manageable for him, and that's a change. And that's what we have to really start to address, like how can he get through that day before and the day of, so that he's not so drained by the end.
Have you been able to, you talk to him, but do you have a sense of how there's been so much support nationally on social media and whatnot? Have you sensed that has been really uplifting to him in the last 24 hours?
I think, to be honest, I think he's a little bit overwhelmed by it. Because of the state that he went into this in, he's already sort of drained, and so I think he really appreciates it, and he knows that it all comes from a good place. I think he's overwhelmed by feeling like he wants to reach out and respond to everybody who's reaching out to him. And I've tried to say, this is a time for you to be a little bit selfish and to take care of yourself first and do what you feel like you need to do to to feel better, and those people will understand. And if you don't reach out to them right away, they'll be okay. And I think he's hearing that too. But he doesn't. It's important to him to be respectful and responsive, and because he does appreciate it, everybody's saying it, and it's overwhelming. I mean, and it happened when he was sick, when he had cancer. I mean, it was the same kind of thing. He was just a lot younger, and I guess he had a phone at that point, but barely. So,
From what I know about this, and I'm certainly no expert, but it's a family thing. I mean, it's very hard on family members too. How are the rest of you coping and taking care of each other?
I think you're exactly right. It is hard on everybody, and this is scary, and he's been in some pretty scary places throughout his battle with this, and it's draining on us. It's Fran and I have tried to really stick together and support each other. Fran has been awesome. Patrick came home with Fran on Sunday night after they got back from State College and stayed at home with us, and Fran didn't leave until Patrick was ready to go. He just stayed. What do you need? What do you so he's stepping away, and Connor's been amazing, as everybody would expect from Connor. He's been the big brother and trying to give Patrick permission that if you need to step away, it's okay. I'll play 40 minutes, as long as the refs don't get involved. I'll do what I have to. You're not letting us down. It's okay. And Margaret and Jack have been, they're concerned, they're sad, but mostly just worried about their brother. And the four of them are, the six of us are close, but the four of them are really great together, and it's been great to see them kind of just rally around him. And last night he came to Jack's game. He didn't really want to go because he doesn't feel much like being in public, and but they were all sort of around him, and it was important to him to be there, and gave Jack a big hug at the end. And so I think that it's scary, and it's sad, and it's hard, but it's also, there's a lot of good things that are coming from us, or coming from it for all of us.